For years, they embodied what could be called the holy trinity of Black American culture. Will Smith, a global movie icon; Jada Pinkett Smith, Hollywood's indomitable intellectual; and Sean Diddy Combs, a monumental figure in hip-hop and business. Together, they symbolize dazzling success, an elite circle where power, influence, and apparent loyalty blended seamlessly. But today, as Diddy's federal trial shakes the very foundations of show business, one detail is as intriguing as the revelations themselves: the silence. And not just any silence, the heavy silence of Will and Jada. One might have expected a reaction, a distancing, a word of support for the victims, or simply a reaffirmation of values. But nothing, not a single gesture, not one sentence, nothing but a disturbing silence. And it comes precisely from those who, not long ago, were among the mogul's closest. What lies behind this lack of words? Loyalty, fear, or simply a desire not to awaken what still sleeps? Let's go back to the late 1990s. At that time, Will Smith and Diddy were rising stars in an America fascinated by the ascent of Black artists. In 1998, they appeared together at the MTV Music Awards, displaying a closeness that left no doubt. Diddy threw parties where Will was a regular guest. In 2008, they even celebrated Will's birthday in Las Vegas, surrounded by celebrities in an electric atmosphere. But this friendship wasn't just surface level. Behind the scenes, the two men were growing closer professionally as well. In 2007, they considered a collaboration between their production companies. In 2011, they co-organized a charity gala that raised over 1 million euros. At that time, the Smiths seemed entirely aligned with Diddy's world. Even their children were involved. Jaden, barely 12 years old, appeared in a Diddy Dirty Money music video alongside Justin Bieber. Willow, then 10, was being considered for a spot at Bad Boy Records. She eventually signed with Roc Nation, but the initial intent was telling. At that moment, the Smiths had complete trust in Diddy, or at least that's how they presented it. Everything seemed harmonious, a smooth relationship between two celebrity families. But in hindsight, this tightly woven alliance of personal and professional ties starts to seem less innocent, because that same glamorous world is now being dragged down by the worst accusations. Over time, voices began to rise. Witnesses spoke about Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, nights where boundaries blurred, where disturbing behavior was tolerated, even orchestrated. Chilling accounts of abuse, coercion, and the presence, and sometimes complicity, of other stars. Naturally, attention has turned toward those who were there: Will, Jada, and their children. That silence is now becoming suspicious. In 2023, Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, shared a shocking story. During a birthday party for Ben Affleck, he claimed to witness an improbable scene. According to him, Will and Jada tried to seduce Jennifer Lopez, who was dating Diddy at the time, for a threesome. Enraged, Diddy allegedly ordered Deal to watch the scene closely, ready to intervene. It sounds like a Hollywood script, but what's troubling is the echo of the story. Months later, on Jimmy Kimmel's show, when the host asked Diddy directly about it, his reaction was unsettling. A nervous laugh, then deflection. No firm denial, no outrage, just palpable discomfort. To some, this kind of reaction speaks volumes. Melanie King, a seasoned media commentator, often highlights how Hollywood works. When a rumor is false, the star shuts it down with ease. But when it hits close to home, silence takes over, or the rumor is smothered with humor, the same humor Diddy used, and that Will and Jada also selectively employ. They never hesitated to address certain controversies: rumors about Will's sexuality, Jada's confession of her relationship with August Alsina. All of that was publicly aired, dissected, and sometimes even dramatized to keep control of the narrative. But about Diddy? Nothing. And that's where the dissonance becomes obvious. Why be transparent about everything, except the one thing that's now at the center of a historic federal trial? Why not clarify, even just to protect their children from being associated with the scandal? Harsher accusations are circulating online. Some viral videos even claim that Willow was offered to Diddy, or that Jaden attended some of those disturbing parties. Crazy theories? Possibly. But their frequency, the number of anonymous testimonies, and, most of all, the silence they meet raise serious questions. At this point, it's no longer about isolated speculation. It's a pattern, a series of clues, of overlapping contexts that, taken alone, could be dismissed, but together form a deeply unsettling image. And in that picture, the Smiths' silence might be the most disturbing piece of all. Years go by, and the mystery deepens, because it's not just about what Will and Jada experienced, it's about what they chose to show, and more importantly, what they chose to hide. Take the iconic example of the Red Table Talk, a show created in the spirit of transparency, of controlling their own narrative. It was there that Jada invited her husband to sit with her and confess, on camera, that she had had an affair with August Alsina, a close friend of their son. A now famous scene, Will, eyes wet, absorbing his wife's confession in real time under the gaze of millions of viewers. A couple laid bare. A raw, honest, and deeply disturbing moment of television. But what's even more troubling today is the contrast. Those intimate revelations, their separation since 2016, their unconventional lifestyle, everything was shared without restraint. They even talked about Jada's obsession with Tupac, her late first love, to the point that Willow allegedly wrote a letter to him as if he were her real father. Nothing seemed taboo, no filters, no modesty. And yet, on the Diddy affair, total silence. How do we explain that inconsistency? Why the need to reveal everything, except the one thing everyone wants to hear about? Some suggest a chilling hypothesis. What remains unspoken is simply unspeakable. What's been revealed so far, the affairs, the tensions, the marital disputes, may just be the tip of the iceberg, a calculated strategy, a way to diffuse criticism, to create diversions. Because while people obsess over their romantic chaos, no one digs into the real dangers, and those dangers are serious. As the trial goes on, testimonies accumulate. They describe a parallel world, a nightlife where alcohol and drugs flowed freely, where bodies became objects, where cameras rolled in secret, where no longer mattered, where celebrities, famous, admired, respected, were allegedly witnesses or even participants in scenes the public would never imagine. It's no longer just Diddy on trial, it's everyone who was there, everyone who knew, everyone who saw, and stayed silent. And that's where the Smith family's image begins to crack. Because beyond the couple, their children come into focus. Jaden, often seen as a free spirit exploring gender identity, art, and Eastern philosophy, but who, from a young age, was exposed to powerful adults, to closed circles, to behind-the-scenes worlds inaccessible to ordinary people. And Willow, a prodigious talent, launched into the music industry before adolescence, mentored by the very people now accused of manipulation. Direct accusations, number but legitimate questions. And in cases like this, sometimes the silence speaks the loudest. In 2022, Will Smith's slap of Chris Rock during the Oscars marked a turning point. America was stunned, the world too. It wasn't just a moment of rage, it was a public breakdown from a man who had long followed every rule. And it happened right after a joke about Jada. Coincidence or trigger? That night, Diddy unexpectedly took the stage as a peacemaker. He offered to settle the matter as a family. That word, family, echoes strangely, especially today. Why did he feel involved? Why step in as a mediator when he himself is now engulfed in scandal? To some, it's a sign, a clue that the ties between these three go deeper, run longer, and are murkier than the public realizes. To others, it's a tactic, Diddy trying to prevent anyone from speaking out, and in return, will remain silent. A few months later, in December 2024, Will took the stage at a public event. He decided to break the silence, almost. He said jokingly, "I got nothing to do with Puffy. I don't go to his freak-offs. I don't even like baby oil." A joke, a vague line, nothing concrete, just a way to brush off the rumors without addressing them. But no one's buying it. Irony is no longer enough, because when justice investigates, when witnesses line up, when victims speak out, humor becomes a fragile mask. And Jada? She's been absent for months. No more roundtable talks, no more confessions, nothing. She, who once championed speaking openly, has disappeared from the public eye. A sudden silence, almost strategic, and the longer the trial goes on, the louder her silence becomes. So the doubt grows, the rumors intensify, old footage resurfaces, anonymous accounts pile up, edited videos circulate, and still no response. What stands out is not just the lack of answers, it's the consistency of that lack, as if a pact had been made, as if a code of silence had been adopted. Say nothing, confirm nothing, deny nothing. Let the rumors die out on their own. Bet on the public's forgetfulness, on media fatigue. But in an age where everything is known, recorded, archived, shared, dissected, that bet is riskier than ever, and the public is watching. They connect the dots. They analyze. Because in this case, what's most disturbing isn't the most shocking facts. It's the feeling that everyone knows, but no one wants to talk. So, what's left when voices go quiet and eyes look away? Fragments, scattered bits of truth, like incomplete evidence of a locked-down system. A lingering impression that behind the glitter and smiles lies a world no one dares to face. And yet, some do dare. A few artists, going against the grain, have chosen to break the silence. In 2024, Keisha changed the lyrics of her famous 2009 song. Instead of P. Diddy, she now sings F.P. Diddy. One letter, one syllable, but a crystal clear message. The pop star wants no association with him. Others follow. Eminem, in a track titled Fuel, targets Diddy without ambiguity. Jamie Foxx, in a tense public speech, refers to a mysterious attempt to have him put into a coma by a powerful former friend. Clear references, becoming less and less veiled. The industry is starting to crack at its edges. But despite all this, Will Smith remains silent. Not a word about the trial. Not a public thought for the victims. No gesture of support for those who dared to speak. Just one random phrase on a talk show. "I got nothing to do with Puffy." A vague denial with no follow-up. A curtain falling too quickly. And Jada? She is simply invisible, silent, frozen. And perhaps that's the loudest signal. She who never avoided controversy. She who always faced storms head-on. This sudden muteness seems less like a choice and more like a necessity. So we ask, what do they have to lose by speaking? Because at this point, this triangle, Will, Jada, Diddy, no longer looks like a simple friendship. It's a web, a complex entanglement of personal ties, shared ventures, mutual secrets, children involved in collaborations, crossed investments, whispers exchanged and forgotten, gestures that, in hindsight, take on an entirely different meaning. And if one falls, what happens to the others? In Hollywood, it's known. Loyalty lasts only as long as the system holds. When it starts to collapse, everyone picks a side. Some speak, others vanish, but all know that the truth never comes without consequences. Because here, silence has become a weapon, a survival strategy, a currency. The public keeps watching. They're no longer satisfied with scripted interviews or rehearsed apologies. They dig, they match faces, they connect timelines. They remember all those images, the smiles on red carpets, the hugs at galas, the cozy backstage photos. Too many appearances, too much proximity, too many connections. So if Diddy falls, who falls with him? This isn't just a legal case, it's a mirror of a system where money, power, and silence swirl in a dance that is as dazzling as it is disturbing. A system where those who speak become targets, where former allies become threats, where the truth is a bomb everyone tries to defuse in their own way. Is Will Smith protecting his image or his past? Is Jada Pinkett protecting her career or something even darker? Or are they protecting together a secret that's bigger than both of them? And what if that alleged threesome was just a tiny, irrelevant detail, a distraction in an ocean of unspoken truths? What if their headline-grabbing scandals, the open marriage, the shocking revelations, the public arguments, were just decoys to steer attention away from what they truly want to keep hidden? The question is no longer whether a rumor is true or false. It's about understanding why this time they refuse to say anything. Because in a world where those who speak are hunted and those who stay silent are protected, we know we're not watching a simple celebrity drama. We're witnessing a well-oiled machine, an industry of silence. And the scariest part? It's not what we find out. It's everything we may never uncover.